Fast, focused, and fearless. Here's everything you need to know as you jumpstart your day. I'm Pauline Verzosa. The United States Coast Guard will deploy more assets in the West Philippine Sea to support our country's sovereign rights. The Philippine Coast Guard reported that the U.S. Coast Guard will field their North Pacific Coast Guard to help them in the West Philippine Sea. Meanwhile, the Japan Coast Guard seeks to conduct more personnel exchanges to create a robust network of Coast Guard counterparts. The three Coast Guard allies had a meeting during the Shangri-La Dialogue in Singapore last week, where they discussed new ways to address the threats coming from China. Maritime security expert Ray Powell tells the big story that Chinese ships appear to have been moving closer to the Philippines. Let's watch this.
What you do is you do monitor maritime activity in this region.
Yes.
What has the data told you about China's strategy and actions of late in the disputed waters, particularly Second Thomas Shoal, where a lot of the run-ins have happened?
Yeah.
What is it telling you?
It tells me that, first of all, it's escalating, and second, it is moving closer to the Philippines. So escalating what we see around Scarborough Shoal now, what we see around Ayungin Shoal, what we see, and now, as I say, it's moving eastward, it's moving closer to Sabina Shoal. So now there is much more Chinese activity at Sabina Shoal than before. So I think at this point what we can say is that China still believes that its best course of action is to try to escalate the Philippines off of its stance.
How many exactly? How much of an increase? And when did you note, because these are all satellite images, and that's how you're monitoring these ships. And can you tell us at which point you started noticing that more and more ships were coming?
So I would go all the way back to last summer.
Sure.
Because that's when I saw China begin to push a lot more, especially of the maritime militia, down into the Spratly Archipelago. And I think it was in response to much of what the Philippines was doing in terms of when it was resupplying and also trying to show the world what was happening during these resupplies. And so the 5th of August, during that particular resupply, that was the first time that the water cannon was used against a resupply mission. And that was after China had already pushed a lot of those ships down into the southern part of the West Philippine Sea. But then recently, I've seen the escalation, first of all, I'd say within the last month and a half or so, the escalation by Scarborough Shoal, and then even more recently by Sabina Shoal. It's always a little difficult to count because not all ships broadcast, the automatic information system broadcasts that they're supposed to, and then some are actually of a size that they don't have to, so they don't. So this makes it a little tough. At any given time, I would say up at Scarborough Shoal, we're probably upwards of, say, 10 to a dozen ships patrolling between, and right now it's even elevated more because we just started a major rotation. So usually what happens is additional ships come in, they overlap for a few days, and then some go home. And so I think we're right in the middle of one of those.
We'll be back with more stories after this break. Keep it here on One News. You're still watching One News Now. I'm Pauline Verzosa. Let's now take a quick look at today's other headlines. Former President Rodrigo Duterte says he cannot recall accurately if he authorized the transfer of funds to the PSDBM. He conceded, though, that he might have given the transfer a go signal, according to a Philippine Star report. Duterte explained that the government was hard-pressed to find ways to protect health workers during the pandemic. And Business World reports that the country's inflation rate accelerated to a 6-month high in May. The Consumer Price Index picked up to 3.9% year-on-year last month from 3.8% in April. The Philippine Statistics Authority said the uptick was driven by the faster rise in utility and transport costs. Love was definitely felt in the air of Bacoor City, Cavite yesterday. 100 couples exchanged vows and kisses at the Kasalang Bayan. Bacoor officials Mayor Strike Revilla, Vice Mayor Rowena Mendiola, and Congresswoman Lani Revilla joined the romantic event. One News and One PH hosts Julius and Tintin Babao, as well as Diego and Angela Castro, were also present. The couples were provided with free rings that also serve as health monitors for couples to check their health metrics. The Kasalang Bayan was hosted by MWell Telehealth app. MWell and One News under Signal are part of MVP Group of Companies. Using technology, UP Manila plans to revolutionize their way of teaching medicine. Students can now practice different kinds of operations, all thanks to humanoid robots. Mobile Journal Francis Orsho has the story.
Health is wealth. Kaya kapag may karamdaman, mga doktor ang takbuhan ng marami. Kaya ang UP Manila pinagtutuunan din ng pansin na mas mapahusay ang kanilang medical students sa tulong ng makabagong teknolohiya. Ipinagmamalaki ng University of the Philippines Manila ang bagong clinical simulation laboratory para sa mga medical students na nais maging doktor balang araw. Sa mismong lab kasi ay may mga simulators at robots na pwedeng magsagawa ng iba't ibang clinical activities.
Meron tayong robot dito, si Apollo, siya yung nagbubukang mata niya, pumipikit, pwede siyang umubo, pag niligyan mo siya ng, pwede siyang magdugo, no? May mga ganun. Yun namang isa, si Lucina, yun ang tawag namin na birth simulator, pwede siyang manganak, no? Sa manganganak siya, pwede siyang magsabi na in pain siya, pag nanganak, iiyak yung bata.
Sa loob ng Clinical Simulation Lab, may 5 multipurpose room kung saan pwedeng gawin ang mga pag-oopera, pagpapaanak at iba pang clinical activities. May control room na pwedeng makita ni Prof yung ginagawang proseso ng wala sa tabi ng mga estudyante. At debriefing room para sa assessment kung tama at mali ba ang ginawa ng estudyante. Layon daw ng simulation lab na ito na ma-develop ang kakayahan ng mga med students sa medical procedures at maiwasan ang posibleng panganib kung sa aktual na tao nila ito gagawin.
Ang goal namin dito ay para yung mga estudyante ay ma-expose sila sa iba't ibang pwede mangyari sa ospital at mahanda namin sila kung paano nila gagawin, ano ang gagawin nila sa mga sitwasyon na gano'n na safe para sa pasyente. Kahit anong nangyayari sa ospital or sa totoong buhay, pwede naming i-replicate dito sa isang safe na lugar.
Opisyal na binuksan ang Clinical Simulation Lab noong September 2023. 300 milyong piso ang inilaan ditong pondo ng iba't ibang ahensya ng gobyerno at pribadong sektor.
Being the premier medical school, it's our responsibility to also educate those who will use the simulators to teach students. So we're talking about training the trainers or training the educators of the different SOCs.
Nais din ng UP na buksan din sa iba pang state universities and colleges ang kanilang pasilidad para mas dumami pa ang pwedeng maka-experience ng high-tech na simulators at robots para sa mga nag-aaral na maging doktor. Mobile journalist Francis Orsho po, hatid ang mukha ng balita.
And those are the top stories of the hour. Join us again later at 9 a.m. as we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. I'm Pauline Verzosa. We are One News.